Hello. Imagine this situation. A faucet at home is leaking. It's been dripping for days. One person immediately calls a plumber. Another kneels under the sink, looks around, touches things, tries to figure it out. 20 minutes later, no more leak. And that raises a question. What does the second person have that the first one doesn't? It's not about hands, not about talent or some natural gift. It all comes down to mindset, to the way a person reacts to an unfamiliar problem. Today, we're going to break down 6 psychological traits shared by people who know how to figure things out. The kind of people who look at something broken and see a solution instead of a problem. The kind of people others say, "You're just naturally good at this. I could never do that." But this isn't talent. It's a pattern of thinking. And once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. Most people divide the world into 2 groups, those who can fix things and everyone else, as if some people were born holding a wrench in their hand. It's a comfortable idea, because it removes responsibility. If you don't have it, then there's no reason to even try. But if you pay close attention to people who can solve problems, most of them will tell you the same thing. No, I wasn't always good at this. I just started looking at things differently. That's where psychology begins. Specific thinking habits formed over years, often through mistakes, through discomfort, through situations where nobody was coming to help, so they had to figure it out themselves. That's exactly where this type of person is created. Drop a like and subscribe. Let's begin. The first trait, comfort with chaos. In the book, Self-Efficacy, the exercise of control, Bandura explains that a person's belief in their own abilities directly affects whether they'll even attempt a difficult task. Imagine an 8-year-old boy who completely takes apart his father's old alarm clock. Gears, springs, glass, tiny screws, all spread across the table. Most kids would panic or try to hide, but this one sits there, trying to understand how everything fits together. He isn't afraid. He's curious. Psychologists call this tolerance for uncertainty, the ability to stay calm when everything around you looks broken and confusing. Most people, when faced with chaos, immediately feel anxiety. The brain says, "Danger, step away, get someone else to handle it." But people who are good at solving problems either hear that signal less intensely or they've simply learned not to obey it. They don't run from chaos. They observe it, study it, give themselves time to understand it. Bandura called this self-efficacy, the belief that you can handle something even if you don't yet know how. The outcome is uncertain, but the person already thinks, "All right, I'll figure it out." No guarantees, no instructions, just, "I'll figure it out." The second trait, systems thinking. In Thinking in Systems, Meadows explains that systems thinking changes the very way a person sees problems. One person looks at a car and simply sees a car. Another sees the engine, the electrical system, the fuel system, the suspension, and the connections between them. Those are 2 completely different ways of seeing the world. Imagine a woman who works as an accountant. At home, she has an old washing machine. Everyone tells her to throw away. But she keeps fixing it herself year after year. When someone asks, "How do you know what to do?" she says, "I just look for the point where the chain breaks." That's systems thinking, the habit of searching for relationships instead of isolated facts. Most people think linearly: press button, works, doesn't work, broken. But people with systems thinking try to understand what affects what. They see connections, loops, causes, and consequences, and this applies far beyond machines. It works in relationships, business, habits, and life itself. That's why these people often become skilled in completely different fields. The brain transfers the pattern. The third trait, a high frustration threshold. In Emotions Revealed, Ekman explains that emotions themselves aren't the problem. The real problem is the automatic behavior they trigger. Picture a familiar situation. You're trying to do something, but it isn't working. 5 minutes pass, 10, 15. You start getting irritated. You want to quit, throw it away, give up. Most people stop right there. But for people who know how to solve difficult problems, that breaking point comes much later. They can tolerate the discomfort of not knowing for longer than most. Ekman argued that emotions themselves aren't dangerous. The problem begins when emotion instantly turns into action. You get angry, you quit. You get anxious, you call someone else. You feel ashamed, you decide, this just isn't for me. People with a high frustration threshold feel all the same emotions, but they create a pause between emotion and reaction. And most of the time, that ability isn't inborn. It's trained over years, especially in environments where fixing things was necessary because replacing them wasn't an option. Over time, the brain adapts. If you allow pain to teach you, it starts developing you. The fourth trait, ego on pause. In Mindset, Dweck explains that beliefs about your own abilities shape nearly everything. Very often, what stops people isn't the difficulty of the task, it's their ego. I should already know this. It's embarrassing to ask. If I need instructions, that means I'm incompetent. Thoughts like these kill learning before it even begins. People who know how to fix things aren't afraid to admit they don't know something. They're comfortable searching for answers, comfortable asking questions, comfortable learning. Psychologists call this a growth mindset. Dweck's research showed that people who believe abilities can be developed perform far better on difficult tasks, because for them, I don't know yet is the beginning of the process, not the end of it. And this doesn't only appear in technical skills. These people admit mistakes more easily, change their opinions more easily, and learn from others more easily. Because their goal isn't protecting their image, it's solving the problem. The fifth trait, pattern recognition memory. In On Intelligence, Jeff Hawkins describes how the brain constantly searches for and compares patterns. Some people walk into a new place and quickly understand where everything is, or they pick up an unfamiliar device and almost instantly guess how it works. From the outside, it looks like intuition, but really, it's accumulated patterns. The brain constantly compares new information with previous experiences. If someone has seen many similar problems before, their brain finds similarities faster. That's why an experienced mechanic can hear a sound and instantly know what's broken. It isn't magic. It's a large database of experience combined with a habit of comparison. And the good news is that database can be built at any age. Every attempt to understand something, even unsuccessful ones, adds another pattern. Even mistakes train the brain. That's how experience is formed. The sixth trait, connection with the physical world. In The Craftsman, Richard Sennett writes that mastery is not just a skill, it's a special relationship with materials, with work, and with reality itself. Some people live almost entirely inside the digital world: screens, texts, spreadsheets, social media. Others stay connected to physical reality. They understand tools, they notice textures, they hear subtle differences in sound. They can feel when something is wrong just by touching it. This is a different kind of knowledge, tactile knowledge. Sennett argued that the hand teaches the brain. When a person works with real physical objects, the brain receives information that words alone can never fully explain. The resistance of material, the precision of movement, the exact moment when a piece finally clicks into place. All of this creates a deep kind of confidence, the feeling that you are capable of affecting the real world around you. And psychologically, that changes a person far more than most realize. Viktor Frankl once wrote that meaning is created through action, through creation, and through contact with reality. When you fix something with your own hands, You are not just solving a problem. You are proving to yourself that you can influence the world. And in an era where most people live inside digital spaces while feeling powerless in real life, that ability becomes rare, almost a superpower. And honestly, when people look at someone like this, something inside them tightens, a strange feeling, somewhere between admiration and quiet frustration. Because deep down, many people carry the belief, I could never do that. But most of the time, that belief was learned. Maybe in childhood, when you broke something and got punished instead of taught. Maybe at school, where mistakes lowered your grade instead of becoming part of learning. Maybe in a family where someone always said, don't touch that. So the brain learned, trying is dangerous, failing is embarrassing. It's safer not to interfere. And eventually, you grow up carrying that fear. You watch someone confidently step into the unknown and you think, how can they do that? Now you know. They simply developed different mental habits, habits built through experience, through permission to fail, through constant contact with real problems. And this is the important part. None of these traits are inborn, they are developed. The brain is plastic. Neuroplasticity is not a motivational quote, it is biology. Every time you do something new, your neural connections change. Every time you stay with discomfort a little longer than before, your frustration threshold expands. Every time you say, I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out, you strengthen self-efficacy. It's slow. It takes practice. But it starts here, with understanding that this is not about talent, it's about psychology. There is another concept in psychology called locus of control. Who controls your life? You? Or circumstances? People who know how to fix things usually have an internal locus of control. They look at a problem and think, this is my responsibility. And the most interesting part is this. The skill of fixing things and the skill of fixing your life follow the exact same pattern, the same brain, the same traits, the same psychology. A broken faucet, a broken relationship, broken habits, one approach, enter the chaos, understand the system, tolerate discomfort, put ego aside, recognize patterns, work with reality. And remember this, a master is simply someone who has broken enough things to stop being afraid of broken things.